All right, I've got one more eye to do. And I thought on this one, why not go ahead and just introduce you to one of the many ways that you can go ahead and start your picture. There's just a couple simple little things I'd like you to do. I want you to, if possible, if you're fortunate enough to have a printer or have a place to get a copy, have a couple copies. This is the same principle again we're going to use if you were using a photo source for your portraits. Have a couple, one smaller, maybe no more than 6 inches in the longest dimension, and then you can go ahead and have one the actual size also, because it'll give you a good look. You might even enlarge something just so you can try to see it as clearly as possible. Some of the pictures are so small that I would encourage you to have something as sharp, crisp, and clear as you possibly can, because when you have that favorite picture and you go to blow it up, you might find out that it's very difficult to see, or it gets all fuzzy, maybe pixelated if it's from a computer, and just doesn't hold up when you go in and enlarge it. Let's go ahead and put this on this board so that I can turn it. And I'm going to go ahead and I have a triangle here so that I can line it up, so that I can make sure that I have it square on the board. I'm going to put this triangle here, and then I can move my paper around so that I can line it up with that edge. Okay, this is really important to have this really square on your board or wherever you're working. I want to be able to make sure that my drawing is in exactly the same orientation as my source. And I could measure over with my ruler if I wanted to. There's a number of ways you could do this too. You could take this and you could measure over and measure, 2 places, make your marks, and then go ahead and put your paper up to there and have pretty much the same thing accomplished. But this is just an easy way. I don't have to draw a line, and now this is done. Now I'm going to go ahead and, while I'm drawing this out, so that I don't have to worry about it moving, I'm going to go ahead and just tape it lightly. If you remember about the taping, anytime you're taping a picture and you want to remove the tape, you start from the inside and pull it away from the edge. I wanted to just be able to show you how you can get a couple good guidelines on here. Even though I'm very comfortable with doing a freehand, there's still things that I want to be able to verify as I go along. Maybe there's something that I just can't figure out. What is wrong with the picture? It might be a little angle that's off. And so in laying it out this way, I'm going to be able to now have my source, and you'll notice that I'm putting it right up next to the picture. This way I can go ahead and make sure that this is in exactly straight up and down the same orientation all the time as my picture I'm going to draw. So I'm going to go ahead and now have the freedom to turn my board around if I so desire, because I can turn my source along with it. If it was something stationary that I could not do this with, I would probably try to draw it out just as I see it and keeping it in the same position until I have it pretty much worked out. And then I might start turning my picture to accommodate my stroke so that I could get the gradations, the edges, and all those things worked out and developed. So let's go ahead. What pencil are we starting with? We're starting with number 1. We've checked our paper and made sure it's on the right side by checking it with a light. You've got to have your light in the proper position if you have that opportunity. And I want to be able to have a piece of paper underneath my hand, and I have my eraser and my brush all ready, and my 4 other pencils. Alright, now I want to be able to make sure that whatever I put down on the paper is again at the same angle. It doesn't make any difference how big you do it. It might be easier for you to do this, the actual size of your source. But if it isn't, you can reduce it down visually. So now I'm just going to work on the just the beginning for the eye opening. And again, you'll notice that I'm doing a stroke that is just a sketchy stroke. I'm just kind of feeling my way along, looking at some of the key points. Now I'm going to look at where in the world is the high point, the arc of this. And I think that this intersects it on the downhill, just as it's starting to go back down. So that's a good indicator. I'm going to look at everything I can to compare and make sure I have something to reference. Now I'm going to look at the angle. Where this iris goes under the eye, it looks like it is kind of finishing off more perpendicular to that eyelid. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come around. Remember what we're talking about? This is still an eye that's making eye contact with us. So what are we going to take into consideration? We want this to be round. Okay. So now if I've kind of gotten an idea of what I want here, I want to know that this is round. So we're going to use the same principle. If you have a hard time visualizing it, you want to be able to take your lines lightly out here again. And it's because it's so critical to make sure it's round. It can fool you so easy. Until you get a handle on it, I want you to just consider using this as an opportunity to visualize it, so that we know whether those two parts that actually show represent a full radius. Naturally, you're going to have to do this very, very light, otherwise it's going to mar the picture and you wouldn't be able to get it off. And so now that I have that, it looks like it's pretty round. Now I want to be able to put my pupil in here. And she has a very dark eye, so the pupil isn't real defined, but we know from doing the other ones that we don't want it too big, and we want to be able to go a lot of different directions with our stroke. And we also want it what? Right in as much in the center as we can put it. This is just an opportunity for us to keep from having it way over to one side. It's amazing how often and how easily that can happen if you're not thinking about it. But now we're going to go ahead and get a better feel for it with the full eye here than we would have otherwise. And as soon as I get a little bit on here, I'll show you a couple things that you can use. Look at the arc and where the high point is. You can use that as a reference on where and how arced this fold should be. Okay, you'll notice that I'm making a lot of marks, though, a lot of lines, and there are far more than what I need. And so I will continue as I feel more confident that I've got the right, I'm getting it down to the right edges and the right form. I'll clean them up. This is going to help us be able to really utilize our technique, because we'll have a precise edge that we can go ahead and follow. I don't want these things to develop too dark, but I still want to get the all of the angles that I can, so I have reference points and I can start comparing one next to another. Looks like. Okay, now what I want to be able to tell you about this is, first of all, if you were never using anything like the straight edge or whatever at this point, you still want to keep this in something other than this. It's going to be very difficult for me to recognize everything that's going on when this is at a tilt than when it's straight and it is in the same orientation. That's why I took the effort to go ahead and make sure I started out right. And so now we can also see, we can compare angles. Angles will always be true. I could use a small one or the big one. All angles are true. And I have to be able to keep it in line with the paper here. And it's sometimes a little bit of a trouble to, I'm going to go to the corner of the eye over here by the tear duct, and where the corner of the other part of the eye is, where it's the eyelashes. So now I have a chance